Imagine you have a safety deposit box, but you're not the only one with access to it. Depending on the type of key you choose, others might access it now or only after you're gone. In the world of estate planning, these keys are known as trusts, and today we're unlocking the differences between revocable and irrevocable trusts and which one might fit your planning needs. Hi, I'm estate planning attorney Mike Smith with Smith Barid LLC, and I'm one half of the estate planning guys. So trusts are fantastic tools for use in estate planning context. And the basic concept of a trust is that it's essentially kind of like a separate entity from you that allows you to coordinate and manage all of your assets in a way that when you're gone or if you become incapacitated, somebody else can step in and manage that structure for you. So they're a great tool for use in estate planning. And there are many, many different types of trusts that we create for estate planning purposes. Today, we're going to talk about two sort of broad categories of trusts: revocable trusts and irrevocable trusts. And we'll get into some details about what's different about them and when we might use one as opposed to the other. So revocable trusts are what I think of as a bucket. And you drop all your assets into the bucket, and as long as you're alive and you're competent, so you have your marbles, you are in total control of that bucket. You're holding the handle to the bucket, and you can do whatever you want to with the assets in that bucket. Now, if you become incapacitated, so if you were to suffer a stroke, for example, or you develop Alzheimer's disease and you cannot manage your financial affairs anymore, then the person that you've chosen will simply take over the handle to the bucket, and they'll manage the assets in the bucket for your benefit as long as you're alive. So they will be able to pay bills on your behalf, make decisions about investments, take care of all the details of your financial life if you're not able to. And then when you pass away, it could be the same person that helped you during incapacity, or it could be someone else. The person that you've chosen as the successor trustee will then take over the handle to the bucket, and they will distribute the assets out of the trust pursuant to the instructions that you've left. So that could mean, number one, paying any debts that are due. Number two, making distributions to any beneficiaries that you've named. So maybe you've got your kids named as beneficiaries, or Great Aunt Sally, or whoever. And you can put in instructions in the trust for how you want those distributions to be made. So you may have a child that is a minor, and so you can put instructions in that tell the trustee, until they reach a certain age, I want you to just manage and control everything for them and make distributions for these purposes. And then after they reach a certain age, just distribute the rest of it out to them. That's one way you could set things up. So those are just examples. The thing about a revocable living trust is that it is very flexible. You can change it anytime you want to, and it's important that you revisit it periodically. I think every 3 years is a really good idea, so that you can make sure that it still aligns with whatever your purposes and needs are, and that you've got still the right people in the right places. And then the other thing to know about a revocable trust is that if you decided you didn't want it anymore, you can revoke it anytime you want to, hence the name Revocable Trust. So that's a basic concept of what a revocable trust is and some of the benefits to it. A potential drawback to a revocable trust is that it doesn't have any asset protection. A revocable trust is just an estate planning tool, and it's a great tool, but it does not satisfy any of your needs for asset protection. So if you're in a high-risk profession, or you feel like you might be a target for creditors and predators, a living trust is not going to satisfy that kind of need for you. And there are other types of trusts that we can use for that, other structures we can use that can help you with asset protection. But a living trust is not, a revocable trust is not an asset protection vehicle. So now let's talk a little bit about irrevocable trusts. And the basic concept of an irrevocable trust is that once you set it up, it's pretty well set in stone. And you can make changes to it, but it's very difficult and cumbersome to do that. So the basic idea is you set up this trust with all the parameters you want, and then it just operates that way going forward, whatever time period the trust is going to exist. In some states, forever, and other states can't list forever, but a really long time, like 365 years, for example. I think of this more as a fixed choice, and there are specific purposes for irrevocable trusts. We use them in a Medicaid planning context. So if someone needs to plan for long-term care care and they want to qualify for Medicaid, we may use an irrevocable trust in that kind of situation. We also use them for gifting trusts. So if we have someone who wants to leave a gift for their grandchildren or their child, but they don't want to just, write them a check right now or give them an asset, they can put that into a trust, an irrevocable trust that we can structure to manage that asset and make distributions over time to the beneficiary. Other uses for irrevocable trust are asset protection. So there are trusts that you can create which would offer asset protection to beneficiaries. So if we have an irrevocable trust and the beneficiary can only receive income from the trust, then that's going to be protected from creditors of that beneficiary. So that's an example of irrevocable trusts. The other, type that's fairly common is what's called an irrevocable life insurance trust. And that is a means to provide cash to help pay estate taxes when someone passes away with an estate tax liability. And we use an irrevocable trust in that situation to keep the insurance proceeds out of the estate. They don't add to the estate and compound the estate tax issue. So those are some different types of irrevocable trusts. We also use them sometimes for charitable gifts, like a charitable remainder trust. But those are some different examples. But the basic concept of an irrevocable trust is once you set it up, it's set in stone. As I've discussed, tax advantages, asset protection from creditors, and they can be used to help qualify for benefits. The main drawback to irrevocable trust is that you lose control over the assets once they're placed in the trust. Typically with an irrevocable trust, you're not going to serve as the trustee, so you lose some of the control. And there are exceptions to that for, special circumstances where we can set up trusts that allow you to maintain some irrevocable trusts that allow you to maintain some control. But as a general concept, with an irrevocable trust, you're not going to be in control of the assets anymore. And so that's a drawback. I think that it's always important to consider all the factors when you're deciding what direction to take with your estate planning. And it could be that the other benefits of an irrevocable trust far outweigh the fact that you're going to have less control over the assets. So it's not really a situation where you choose between a revocable trust or an irrevocable trust, but rather, what is it that you're trying to accomplish? And then what's the right tool for the job? So if you're trying to obtain eligibility for Medicaid, for example, we're going to use an irrevocable trust for that kind of situation. If you're really just trying to put a set of instructions together, a plan for your family if something happens to you, most likely we use a revocable trust for that. If you're trying to accomplish a charitable gift for some tax savings, we may use an irrevocable trust for that kind of setup. Or if you're trying to achieve asset protection, we're always going to need to use an irrevocable trust for that. So my suggestion is that you consult with an estate planning attorney to assess what your individual circumstances and goals are, and they can help you to determine what type of trust you might need for your situation. So if you're trying to decide what kind of trust you need and what's the best thing for you, you can give us a call. We're happy to help you with figuring that out. You can just set up a free consultation with Smith Barid, and we'll let you know how we'll be able to help you to craft a plan that aligns with your goals and ensures that your legacy is preserved just the way you want it. Now remember, the key to successful estate planning is understanding all of your options and making informed decisions. For more insights and tips on navigating your estate planning journey, subscribe to our channel and hit the notification bell. You'll get reminded anytime we post a new video. That way you won't miss anything that's coming along. Until next time, I'm Mike Smith, helping you plan today for your family's tomorrow. I hope you enjoyed that video. If you did, then take a moment right now to subscribe by clicking below and turn on the bell notification so you get notified every time we post up a new video. Right now we're posting 3 videos a week with lots of information about various estate planning topics, so you're going to want to make sure to stay on top of that. Click below to subscribe and click right over here to watch the next most relevant video about estate planning. Go watch it now.